Hello, hello, and welcome! It's Wednesday, so it must be time for another Wednesday live training session with me, Coach Molle from Three Pines Leadership. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today, we're going to have, as I already said, yet another live coaching session. So every Wednesday, I go live at 11 a.m. Eastern every week, and we go over a different course that I offer, something about entrepreneurship or leadership, communication, conflict management, and so much more. Today's course, we're going to be talking about setting better goals. This is our SMART Goals course. This is actually part of a larger SMART Goals course that you can sign up for as well. And at the end of this presentation, I'll also be giving you some next steps if you want to take your goal setting journey to the next level. Before we get into all of the nitty gritty, let's make sure that you can get in contact with us if you have any questions. I'm available on all of these different social platforms. So you can find me on Mixer and Twitch, as well as Periscope. All of our live streams are available on those platforms. You can also touch base with us on YouTube, where we post a lot of other videos, as well as some of our live streams. And you can find us on Instagram and Facebook. The newest thing we've been doing is a Monday morning live stream. So that is available on Mixer and Twitch. And we have an absolute great time. So that's 7 a.m. Eastern till whenever I feel like it. This Monday coming up is the sex and gender episode. It's a topic that has been requested by some of our followers. So we're going to get into nitty-gritty vocabulary and things like that to give you a better understanding of those words, terminologies, concepts, ideas, etc. But we love to talk, we love to learn, we love to share our ideas on Three Pines. So how about we start to get into today's training? So make sure that you are signed up for the Three Pines Leadership newsletter so you can be first to find out about our new courses, our new memberships, our new trainings, and everything. And as I've been throwing out all month, there is something big that's going to be announced at the beginning of June. I am so excited to share it with you, so you have to make sure that you are tuned in, you are signed up for that newsletter so that you find out about it, and if there happens to be tickets and spaces involved, you get your spaces, you get your tickets, you secure your spot before it goes public to everyone else. All right? So now let's actually dive right in to today's training. So as I said, we are talking about setting better goals. This is our SMART Goals training class. I am your host, Coach Molle. I'm a facilitator, I'm a mediator, so I work with people in conflict, and I'm also a success coach. So I work in the realm of goal setting every day of my life in terms of setting goals because you want to have a specific outcome of a conversation. So that would be more mediation and more conflict and negotiation skills. But you can also use goal setting to achieve great things in your life. You have a project you're working on, you're stuck at home in quarantine and you want to be successful, you want to be productive. Well, set some goals and set some limits, and that way you'll be able to actually see what you're trying to strive for, and you'll be able to measure whether or not you've actually achieved it. So we've all set goals in our lives before, but we haven't necessarily followed a proper format. So in today's discussion, in today's training, we're going to cover the following topics. We're first going to talk about defining success, and I'll get into that in a moment. We'll then talk about the benefits of setting goals and why you want to set goals in the first place. And after that, we're going to move on to what has been stopping you and those limiting beliefs. We'll then get into setting the right goals, because if we spend all of this time and energy setting goals that aren't the right ones for us, we're going to be wasting a whole lot of time and energy and resources. So don't get yourself into that. And then at the last part of this presentation, we're going to be talking about SMART goals and how you actually set those kinds of goals. So are you ready? Then let's dive into it. So what is success? Well, everyone's going to have a different interpretation of what success is. It may be getting a bigger salary. It may be being able to set your own schedule. Maybe success is achieving a certain grade level or a grade point average. Success is going to be something different for everyone, and what that definition is also going to change over your lifetime. It's going to be different from moment to moment depending on what hat you're wearing. We all wear different hats in our life, right? We have our work hat, we have our home hat, maybe we have hanging out with our friends hat, maybe we are involved in our community, so that's a different role that we play in a different hat as well. So we're going to have different goals and different definitions of success in each of those different areas. And as we evolve and as we go through our journey in life, we're also going to evolve that definition of success as well. So keep in mind that that definition is going to change no matter who you talk to, and as well, it's also going to change over the course of your life. So keep checking in with yourself and asking yourself, in this moment, in this activity, in this project that I'm doing, what is my definition of success? If we don't start with an understanding of what success is, what we want to accomplish on a broad level, we're not going to be able to set goals that will actually be able to achieve them. So, yes, everyone's going to have a different definition, but overall, success is achieving what is possible. To some people, it may be achieving what is impossible as well. So try and be that person. Did you know that over 80% of successful entrepreneurs set goals? That's right. Goal setting is a trait of successful people. So if you want to be part of this club, join us. All you have to do is start setting your goals and taking action towards them. It's that simple. Now let's talk about the benefits to setting the right goals. So this is what I like to refer to as the challenge effect. When we push our learning zone further and further on a regular basis, we're then able to accomplish more and more. Those things that were once scary to us, those things that were once unfamiliar to us, because we keep repeatedly coming back to them and becoming more and more familiar with them, they become easier and easier. And that way, those things that we started off as being difficult the first time we did them, maybe the 10th time have now become second nature to us. And now we can focus our energy on pushing and learning a new part of this challenge. So if you look at the graph here, you can see that there's one line at the very bottom that's pretty stagnant. It's really increasing on a very small amount each goal that you're setting. So you set a goal, you work towards it, you achieve it, you tweak it along the way if you need to, and then you move on to the next goal, and you take the lessons you've learned from the first one and you apply them to the second. So if you don't apply the challenge effect, you're going to be that line at the bottom. You're just going to slowly, incrementally trudge along and maybe achieve one of your goals eventually. Well, that doesn't sound too fun, right? That doesn't sound like accomplishing the big picture ideas that you want to accomplish in life. That's not the way that you're going to have a massive impact on your family, on your community, and the people around you. No, you must apply the challenge effect. So that's going to be the other line on our graph, the graph that is shooting up to the sky, because at each goal, once you achieve it, as you're working through it, you're learning, you're observing, you're figuring out what's going right, what's going wrong, you're changing your plan as you need to, and when you achieve that goal, you repeat that cycle all over again, but you're not starting from zero when you get to goal 2. Instead, you have this toolbox you've built of lessons you've learned and observations you've made along the way in your first goal. So this is how you're going to build a step ladder, an incremental step ladder to amazing, amazing results. If you apply the challenge effect, you're going to achieve greatness. So now let's talk about what has been getting in your way in the first place. Yourself. I hate to break it to you, but you are the first obstacle that you need to get over. It's right here, between your ears, behind your eyes. Your thoughts are what is stopping you. Limiting beliefs are something that we talk about a ton in goal setting and success coaching. Limiting beliefs are the unconscious and conscious thoughts that are holding you back. We all have them. They will evolve and change over our lifetime as well. And they will be different for each of us, but we each have them. The difference is how well are you adapted to overcome those limiting beliefs, to recognize them first, to acknowledge what they are, to name them, and then to find a way to move them aside. Some limiting beliefs are easier than others to manage, but all of them you are able to move aside. I promise you. Keep working on it, keep playing with it, and you will find a way to move that aside. So limiting beliefs might be a little bit confusing for some people. So let's get into some nitty-gritty examples, all right? So here are 4 of the most common limiting beliefs that I have heard in the past couple months. So the first one we're going to start with is, why should I even start? Because I'm going to fail. So these are the kinds of limiting beliefs that come from looking in the past, saying, in the past I wasn't able to accomplish that. In the past I did XYZ. In the past I wasn't able to do XYZ. My past has set me up for a future that is destined to fail. Yeah, I'm sure you're out there listening to this going, yeah, that's me. Absolutely. But just because of what has happened in the past, that's not going to set you up for great success in the future. What you're going to do right now, sitting in this course right now, is an amazing step to get rid of all of that BS and baggage from the past and to take yourself from where you are right now. If you want to be a better person, you have the ability to go do that. What you need to do is put in the work. It's not about what's happened to you in the past. It's not about the circumstances that you grew up in. It's about where you are right now, what resources you have available, and how you utilize those. It's about taking action. It's not about excuses in the past. Now let's talk about the next one, which is, I'm different. This isn't going to work for me because I'm different. A lot of us are learning new skills, and we're learning these frameworks that we're trying to apply in our own lives, in our own businesses, in our own families. Maybe we're trying to teach from home, and we're trying to learn and understand a different framework, and then we look at our kid and we're like, that's not going to work. That's another limiting belief, thinking that what you're learning isn't going to apply to you, so you don't need to listen to it, so you don't need to move forward with action on that. That's wrong. That's backwards thinking. What you need to do instead is use what's between your ears and behind your eyes and think. Humans are a unique species on this planet because of the way that our brains have developed. We're a species that has a huge brain, and the majority of the space, the physical mass of our brain, is a part of our brain that is designed to create connections, to connect knowledge and experiences together. So what we need to do is take in the information that we're learning, synthesize it, let it get past the, is this me or is this different? Is this same or different filter that happens when we first hear information? And we want to let it play around and move around in our brain, and we want to think about it. The best way to make different connections, if you're hearing information and you're like, I don't understand how I can play with that and mold that information, that resource, into something that's going to benefit me. What you need to do then is to start using different parts of your body, using different senses. So I like to actually move. I like to go for a walk or a hike or a run. And that way I can physically be moving my body while I'm thinking about this plan or this project. Something else you can do is you can play with like clay or sand tables or something physical. Some people really like to write things. I'm a big writer and list maker, and that helps me process information. And the idea behind this is to encourage you to synthesize that information, to take in new information, to make it something, to connect it to things that are you, to bring you those aha moments, because that's where you're going to find the most energy, the most inspiration, the best ideas, because they're going to be rooted in who you are. They're going to be uniquely designed for you. And the benefit to that is not only are you creating something that's customized to you, that's going to work for you, that's taking that information and making it something for you, but there are people out there who are different, just like you. And maybe your unique way of thinking and your unique way of approaching this problem and setting this goal, maybe if you reach out and you share that knowledge with the world, there's going to be someone else who's going to connect to that and go, that's what I've been waiting for. And they're sitting there waiting to hear that information with open ears and a brain that's ready to create and synthesize that information too. The next kind of limiting belief that we're going to talk about is I can't, because I lack resources, or because I don't have time, or because of whatever. This is the excuses that we like to come up with. And I'm going to tell you right now that if you say I can't for all of your goals, then I promise you, you're not going to. What you need to do is change the way that you approach this problem. Don't look for obstacles. Instead, look for creative ways around them. Look for ways that you can build and grow from this experience. If you feel like you're lacking resources, stop looking at the glass half empty part. Look at the water in the glass. Look at what you can do with the resources that you do have. At the same time, write a list where you can acknowledge what resources you don't have and look for strategies and ways that you can actually get the resources that you need. When you think about this in terms of abundance, you're going to be able to have so much more than you actually have at your hand. The next and final group of limiting beliefs that we'll talk about today is my favorite. It's the what if category. It's the what if all of the bad things that are ever going to happen are going to happen, and they're going to happen to you. That's right. It's the worst case scenario, apocalypse, the world is ending, oh woe is me, ultimate limiting belief. And I promise you, as big and as grandiose as that idea is, as big and crazy and wild as the negative that you're thinking is, on the other side of that is something as equally as big and crazy and wild and amazingly positive. If you're able to harness that energy and that creative thinking that your brain obviously is doing when you're coming up with these wild stories, is to think, if you harness that energy and put it towards achieving your goal and put it towards thinking about what is possible, you will be able to harness so much more out of not only just setting goals, but you'll see the world in a much more, I hate to say it, but magical way. The world will be a lot friendlier of a place if you're able to see it with rose-colored glasses, but being realistic at the same time. Now let's talk about setting the right goals, because as I said earlier, if you're not setting the right goals, you are wasting your time, your resources, and your energy. So let's talk first about being multifaceted. I mentioned earlier that we have these different hats we wear for the different roles we play in our life, right? So what I want you to think about, what are those different roles that are in your life? What are those different parts of your life that are important to you? If you want to set really impactful, awesome goals, I encourage you to set goals that are going to touch on those different areas of your life so that while you're achieving one goal, you're really improving in multiple areas of your life. For example, I work with a lot of clients who want to increase their business. Like they want to do better in business in whichever way possible. There's many different ways to do this. And when we break it down to its absolute core, in order to achieve those goals, we need to find balance. So we're looking at setting goals about sleeping right and eating right and exercising enough and having a healthy social life and having enough me time and quiet reflective time. So you want to make sure that you're setting a goal that's going to encourage improvement in one area of your life, but it's going to touch on and include all or as many areas of your life as you can. The next thing I want you to think about is planning for success. Actually look at your schedule. Do you have enough time to do your goal? If your goal is to lose weight, for example, and you want to do that by increasing your exercise, which I highly recommend, it's so much fun. Try weightlifting, try CrossFit, try powerlifting. It's awesome. Slight plug there. But if those are your goals and that's your action plan, do you actually have enough time in your schedule to complete that goal? If not, carve out that time, or maybe look at setting a different goal. The third thing I want you to think about is owning it. And this is kind of hard to think for some people. I want you to think about your goals and think about whether or not you own them. Are they your goals or are they someone else's goals? The greatest example that comes up all the time is post-secondary education. Are you in a post-secondary program that you chose? Or are you pursuing medical school because your parents expected you to, as an example? Own your goal. If you don't own your goal, you're not going to have a connection to it. You're not going to be inspired to push through when going gets really tough. Just saying. The fourth thing I want you to think about in terms of setting the right goals is looking at your core. So this connects back to owning it. So look at whether or not your goals are in line with your core values and what is most important to you. If what is most important to you is focusing on your family, then why are you setting goals and creating action plans that are going to keep you at the office for 3 times as much during the week? Try and balance that out and make sure that they're aligned with things that are going to inspire you no matter what, because I promise it's going to get tough along the way. There's going to be a roadblock. You're going to hit a wall at some point, and I promise you, you can overcome that wall. You can overcome that obstacle, but you need to do it. In order to do it, you have to find that power and that strength inside of you. The next and final thing I want you to think about in terms of setting these amazing goals that are right for you is having a vision and painting that picture, making that idea real. So some people like to do vision boards where you like cut out pictures and you post them up, and that way you're visualizing with your eyes, you are seeing your dreams every day, and that's going to help trigger that kind of love and inspiration towards your goal. Some people like to journal. I'm a huge journaling fan where every morning and every evening you write down your goals, and in the morning you write down your goal and your action steps and what you're going to do to accomplish that goal, and then at the end of the day you write down how well you did and did you actually accomplish what you set out to accomplish in that day. That way you can break down your big goals into baby steps, everyday baby steps. For some people who are more expressive and creative in that sense, they like to use creative measures. They like to paint it or use their computers and create these beautiful images that allow them to process through that information. So remember earlier when I was talking about using those connections in our brains by moving our bodies or by processing information in different ways? Same thing here. So work through that goal. See where you want to be, that end goal. Envision it. Feel it. Move your body so that you feel that. Create something so that you're expressing it and you're moving that information through different spots of your brain. So think about how you can use language. Can you use numbers? Can you use creativity? Can you move your body in a different way? The more ways that you do that, the more connections in your brain, the stronger that connection is going to be, the faster your processing of information relative to that topic's going to be, and higher increase of motivation when the going gets tough. So lots and lots of reasons to set the right kinds of goals that are unique to you. All right, now let's get into actually setting SMART goals. So we've heard this acronym before in high school and college and whatever about setting SMART goals. So SMART, S-M-A-R-T. Each of those letters stands for something that we're going to get into right now. So S, specific. So I want you to know exactly what it is you want. Be as specific as possible. Again, you can go back to your vision boards and your paintings and your drawings and your interpretive dance. All of that is going to help you. Once you feel it, that's really going to help you be very specific. So if you want to start a business, for example, tell me more about that business. What is it going to look like? What is it going to do? Who is it going to serve? What's the timeline on it? Everything. I want as much detail as possible. Be incredibly specific. The second thing you're going to think about is the M, which is measurable. So how will we know you've actually accomplished your goal? Or how will we know what success is? So So we've talked about what success is. So we've set the ultimate goal. We've identified our core values, so we know the bottom. And somewhere in between is going to be where we are now and where we want to be. But how will we know once we get there? So some goals you actually have measurement tools that you can use. I want to increase my jump by 1.5 feet. So I will use a measuring tape to measure the 18 inches that I'm going to improve on my jump before I join the WNBA. Or you have goals that have a determined date. So I'm going to prepare to run my first 5K on this specific day, for example. So that has a specific end date where you're working towards it. So you want to determine how that success will be calculated. The next thing you want to think about is your action plan and making sure that your goal is actionable. So that's actually creating an action plan, because you can't achieve your goal unless you understand the steps required to get there. And some people, this is where they stop in the goal setting plan. They'll get to this point, they'll start working on their plan step by step, and they'll realize they didn't account for something. And then they stop. And then they go back to those limiting beliefs that, oh, I don't have the resources. Oh, I don't have the knowledge. Oh, I don't have the connections. So I'm going to stop. This isn't a good goal for me. And that's it. That's all they do. And a lot of that is because they haven't gone back and made those connections and used all of their brain capacity to think creatively, to create those strategic connections, and to make the best impact possible. So what I encourage you to do is work on that plan. And as you get to different steps where you don't have the resources, you don't have the connections or whatever, create a list of what you need. Create a list. A 2-column list. On one side, you put everything that you need, and on the other column is going to be how you're going to get those. There are ways to get funding if you don't have funding. There are ways to connect with other people. There are amazing resources out there that will be able to connect you to incredible amounts of talent all over the world. So don't use that as an excuse anymore, guys. We're over that. We've moved past that. We're far beyond that. We live in a time where we are so connected to resources, to funding, to other people, to knowledge, to opportunities to learn. There's no time for excuses anymore. So create your action plan, and as you do that, recognize what resources you're lacking and how you're going to get those. The next thing I want you to think about is setting realistic goals. So actually look back at your plan and figure out, is that feasible? That's where the other columns are going to come into play. Do you have a plan to get those resources? Do you have a plan to get the resources, the tools, the people you need? The answer is going to be yes. Eventually you will get there. I just promise. You have to put your head down and you have to figure it out. You have the capability of doing that. Don't give me some excuse, some limiting belief that you don't have the ability to do that, because you do. We are each so incredibly unique, and we bring so much experience and knowledge to everything that we come to. And if we don't tap into that, if we don't understand that information, if we don't understand the power we each bring, then yeah, we're not going anywhere. And don't give me the excuse that you're not smart enough, or that your brain wasn't wired that way, or whatever. No. The human brain is so amazingly plastic. It has the ability to have half of its mass removed, and the connections can still be made, and people can still function. It's amazing. When the brain is damaged, it has this amazing ability to reconnect and to rewire itself. If your brain can do that naturally, your brain is the house of your thoughts, and it's not coming up with these excuses. You are. So stop doing that. Be like your brain. Be better than that. And the last part of our SMART acronym is timely. So making sure that we actually set a timeline. If we're like, yeah, I'm going to lose 5 pounds. Yeah, you're going to lose 5 pounds when? In 10 years? Who knows? So if you set an actual time, don't feel bad if you don't accomplish your goal in the set of time. That's your moment to readjust, to rethink, to reevaluate. You got to do it. No matter how dumb you think you are, if you can put on your own pants, if you can ask someone to help you put on your pants, either of those options, you then are smart enough to accomplish amazing things. Remember, start with baby steps. That's all I gotta say. You have a skill and a talent that someone out there wishes they had. So think about that. There are so many, if you're sitting here watching me right now, you have skills and talents and abilities and knowledge that tons of other people don't have right now. First of all, if you're following me, you know that I have tons of information to share with you. Tons of information that just comes naturally to me, that comes out of my experiences and my knowledges and all this time I was in school and all of the people that I've worked with. And I don't just hold it up into me, I share it for you guys. Because I know that there are people out there who can benefit from this knowledge. So think about the skills and the talents that you have, that you can tap into, so that you can share that with the world. That has nothing to do with setting timely goals. That's just lesson in life number 1. But when it comes to setting your time limits, don't think of them as the floor becomes lava when the timer's up. No, the timer's up and it's time to sit down and evaluate how well you did. Did you meet your required targets? If not, how can you adjust them? What can you do to do better? What went wrong? Ask yourself those type of debriefing questions, because that's going to give you the best meta understanding. If I'm going to use those big words, meta understanding is the ability to step back and see everything from like an aerial view, a slight disconnection from who you are in your spot, and you just kind of open up and look over and how are things doing from this aerial view? How can we move around these players? I play a ton of chess. I love chess. And chess is a game that requires you to take that step back and to look many steps ahead and to think, how can I adapt? How can I change? I have this plan. I want this to happen. This is my goal. I have the strategies and I have the tactics in line. But things can change if my opponent decides to move something else. If they don't see what's going on over here and they choose to move something there, or they don't see what's going on over here and they choose to move something over there, that will change my plan. That will change the way that I have to go about doing things. But if I don't have the meta-analysis available, if I don't have the ability to step back and see things from that perspective, then I'm not going to benefit from any of this experience whatsoever. I'm literally just a robot on autopilot, experiencing life, going about my motions. Take control of your life. Take control of and harness all of your power, all of your energy, all of your creative energies, and actually achieve things that are going to make you feel better. It's not about being a millionaire or whatever. It's about doing things that make you excited, that make you, I giggle a lot when I'm excited, so that make you giggle, or that make you want to pat yourself on the back. Or if you really live in the world of resentment, something that can be very encouraging and very motivating for some people is to push themselves forward to accomplish things so that they can rub it in other people's faces. And I am a firm supporter of that. If that's what encourages you to do amazing things, then go for it. Be that person. And just as a little bit of bonus information for you guys, I want to give you these 3 tips to make sure that you are staying on your goals and you're accomplishing great things. So the first thing is to avoid multitasking. A mentor of mine, where did I put his book? Dan Henry, he wrote this awesome book called Digital Millionaire Secrets, how I built an 8-figure business selling my knowledge online. There's a part in this book, actually, let's find it here, where he talks about the circle of focus. And the circle of focus is the idea that we have a finite amount of mental energy, let's just say. And instead of taking that pie and dividing it up into all the different things that we want to focus on. So say you're starting a business and you're going to want to learn about marketing, you're going to want to learn about product creation, you're going to want to learn about networking, You're going to want to learn about advertising, and so on and so forth. You're going to want to put some energy into the podcast, and maybe you're going to want to make videos, and you're going to do your branding, and you're going to reach out and do some presentation, etc., etc., etc. The more things you pile onto your life, the more times you divide that pie into smaller and smaller pieces, the less focus and energy each of those pieces is going to get. So Dan suggests that we do the circle of focus, and that's just a circle, one topic at a time. So focus on one thing that you can at a time. The second thing is to get in touch with your senses. So I mentioned this earlier. Process that information through multiple parts of your brain by using different parts of your body and different senses. Move, smell different things, hear different things, say the words out loud, say them to someone else and see if that sounds different. Think about it. Can you use numbers in any way? Is there a way to calculate this? Is there a way to take an intangible and make it tangible? Using as many ways to process information as you can is going to build stronger, faster connections in your brain. It's biohacking 101, let's just say that. And the number one tip I can give you, no matter what we're talking about, is to veer away from distractions. If you're like me, acknowledge that you have shiny object syndrome, recognize it, and build a system to help keep you on task. So there's lots of different ways that you can learn about timekeeping methods or productivity in general. So I want you to think about how you can keep yourself on track, how you can stop yourself from getting distracted by all of the shiny objects around you. All right, well, that's it for today's SMART Goals training. That's all I have for you right now. But if you want more, you can sign up for the SMART Goals Mega Course, which is actually just a bunch of mini courses piled together for you. So you get this whole bunch of baby steps. So there's lots of ways that you can actually accomplish what you're trying to accomplish in manageable bite-sized pieces, like 2-bite brownies. See, like 2-bite brownies, a bag of 2-bite brownies is a heck of a lot easier to eat through than a tray of brownies. Okay, maybe not. Maybe they're equally as delicious, but 2-bite brownies are a lot more portable. Let's just say that. 2-bite brownies for the win. All right, everyone. So remember that you can get in touch with me on all of my social platforms. I love to hear from you guys. And remember, there is big news coming out at the beginning of June that I'm sure you're going to want to hear about. You're going to want to follow me on all of my different platforms, sign up for the 3 Pines newsletter, all of that fun goodness, or just come back and see me. I can't wait to see you. I go live Monday mornings. I'm in the Eastern time zone, so I go Monday mornings, 7 a.m. Eastern. Then I go to, then we do our live trainings Wednesday, 11 a.m. Eastern. Then on Saturdays, midday, we do the live filming of the Lifelong Podcast. And then sprinkled throughout the week are some other random live events as well as I feel like it. Yes. So this has been a whole bunch of fun, my friends. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been great. I love having you guys around. So yeah, keep in touch. Follow me. I'll see you soon. Have a fantastic day, or have a lovely evening, if that's where you're headed tonight. Sleep well, everyone. Remember to stay in balance. Remember that I love you, and be excellent to each other. Bye, everyone.